etc. How to approach, how to get, and the way in which it is to be done. That's it. 3 aspects.
Approach and get. Okay.
Yes.
That's a very good point.
And the process of getting it done, as in when you get a consultancy, what do you do? If time permits, yeah. Thank you so much.
Dr. Shamsher, you are from which school?
Yes. Good afternoon, Professor. I'm the Associate Dean, School of Commerce, NMIM is Navi Mumbai.
Okay, good afternoon, School of Commerce. Mr. Ranka is, I do not know. Dr. Vashi, Jigisha Vashi, you are from which school?
She's put it in the chat box. She's written.
I would ask you to freely tell me what are your expectation. Anybody, I may not be knowing all of you.
Yes, Dr. Jigisha is saying that.
Dr. Srinivasan, what are your expectations from this session?
So good afternoon and Jai Hind to you. I am a brigadier from the army, having joined the campus on 1st of October as the campus director, Chandigarh. Currently, so the campus is having or is capable of handling 2 programs, the BBA and the BA LLB, BBA LLB. So in the capacity of having an undergraduate program, I don't expect any consultancy to do any good. So I wish to take off from here because it's going to be a new campus. We are going to have new people coming over. And at the same time, the course of the next, say, 2 years, I need to get that foundation right to get the PG program up and running. And equally better, I have to do capacity building. So when I look at capacity building, I look at what is the levels of teachers and capable people who need to come on campus so that they can handle the PG program. Now, when I look at that, one of the potent aspect of such recruitment would be to see if that gentleman or the lady possesses those factors which you will be telling us, and I need to focus on, that would bring industry collaboration with us, research collaboration with us, and societal need, identification. So I strongly feel, sir, be it the government or be it the private sector, we need to try and build a good foundation to identify these aspects. And that's why, sir, I wish to listen to you. I'm sure with you will be able to pinpoint all these milestones that we need to achieve so that in the course of the next 2 years, we are in a position to define a policy for the same. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Londe, Vaishali Lande. You are from which school, Dr. Londe?
Yeah, I am from School of Pharmacy. Hello. School of Pharmacy and Technology Management, SPP, SPTM, Mumbai.
Okay. So, madam, what would be your expectation from this session?
Yeah, exactly. As the title is consultancy, therefore I was interested. I thought it might be, but if it is completely management, I have to leave then. Because I thought it is my profession.
It is not completely management.
Yeah, therefore
I know that I'm speaking to an audience representing the university. So it has to be completely a mixed bag.
Right. Therefore, we are also looking for consultancy from company because our portfolio, my portfolio is a method development and a product development, formulation development.
In fact, I have already proposed to Dr. Bala one project on healthcare, a blockchain platform for healthcare. So I was thinking that I will receive some reward from her. Mr. Chawla, you please let us know when we have to start. I think 3:05 would be right to start.
Yeah, in a minute or two, yes.
Dr. Kulkarni, you are from which school?
I'm from Navi Mumbai campus, School of Technology Management and Engineering. I'm Faculty of Statistics.
And you are, what you are looking from this session?
So how to collaborate means use the statistical knowledge for industry purpose and doing the consultancy things.
Sir, if I may add, I feel I'm the only student here, and like everyone obviously is a student throughout their life, but I'm officially the student, and I am doing MBA Digital Transformation from NMIMS Mumbai. I'm highly interested into consultancy firms and looking at digital transformation world right now. I feel it is very upcoming that all the industries have some sort of digital transformation consultant in their organization. So I'm just looking forward for this event to help me understand what exactly that field is related to and how we as students can harness the opportunities as soon as possible so that we land up in a good firm.
I believe I took a session of yours in the foundation program, right?
During the orientation, you were there, and we were introduced to your articles and blogs because Anuja ma'am shared us the entire Word document which was filled with your articles. And
now there are 28 articles so far. Now
right.
I have completed, continuing with the series, and last month was the 28th article.
Right.
On ESG, digital transformation and ESG. Okay, Mr. Chawla, it is up to you when we can start.
We can start now. I'll just formally introduce you and then we can start. So it was a good conversation. Like typically we have when there is a conference so before the training starts, the interaction begins. And so it was almost like coming live. So thank you for that initial conversation. So friends, it's a pleasure to introduce Dr. Paritosh Basu. He's an academician, of course, but before becoming an academician, he had about 34 years of corporate experience. And in his earlier positions before coming here, he was the global group controller and CFO of 2 large MNCs. And incidentally, in the earlier years of the 2000, Dr. Basu and me happened to work in the same organization, though in different business groups. So that's a coincidence. Well, so he's a full-time senior professor now and chairperson of MBA Law in the School of Business Management in Mumbai. His current areas of research include Industry 4.0 and digital transformation and blockchain. All India Management Association has conferred to him the fellow membership in June 2021 for his significant contributions in the field of professional management. The Lifetime Achievement Award was conferred on him by Trescan Global in June 2017. Well, he is a digital evangelist, management trainer. He has chaired 4 World Blockchain and All India Summits and Artificial Intelligence Summits held in Moscow, Dubai, and India. He has delivered keynote speeches and led panel discussions in several hundred sessions, whether it's in the national or international conferences, seminars, webinars. He has authored many research papers and management case studies. He writes a monthly column on digital transformation in the Management Accountant, which is the magazine of the Institute of Cost Accountants. And he's been doing this for the last almost 2 years. In our own NMIMS, he is also the member of the Mentor Council of the Atal Incubation Center of NMIMS. So he's an avid management trainer, as we know, and he's here because he provides consulting services to startups and corporates. He is chairing the Syllabus Advisory Committee 2021-22 of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. His corporate experience spans over a wide spectrum of functional areas across continents and countries. So whether it is finance, treasury, strategic planning, accounting, performance management, risk and control, M&As, on one side of accounts. And if you look at it on the digital side, it is the IT enablement and digital transformation. And so with this very accomplished background, we are very happy and fortunate to have Dr. Basu here to guide us that as individuals who are but faculty in this NMIMS University and as a school of the NMIMS, or even beyond NMIMS in the SVKM family, we have participants from other institutes in the SVKM family, how we can get the consultancy assignments. What is it that Dr. Basu has done? And one important thing Dr. Basu told me when we were deciding this session, he says, I'm not going to do typical presentations or those kinds of PPTs. He would be sharing his experiences, what he has achieved, how he has gone about, and that is something that we really look forward to. So thank you, Dr. Basu, for being here this afternoon. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Deepak, for your so many kind words. You could have shortened it definitely. Now coming to the session, see, I'll speak a bit in Hindi now so that it registers better with all of you. I ask Deepak, किसने मुझे फंसाया? Because I am neither a consultant nor I have done any consulting service for so many years that I can be called for this session as a speaker. But yes, Deepak told me that somebody there in the leadership team who loves you too much and he or she has fussed you. ऐसे वो समझ में आ गया अब ये कौन है. So coming to this organization NMIMS, in addition to teaching, I was doing a consulting job. You know what? All of you have heard that NMAT has been sold to GMAC. And it is now NMAT by GMAC, right? And I was the investment banking service provider to NMIMS, of course, pro bono. In addition to become a professor of this institute at that point of time, incidentally, I'm a senior professor here. So I could make out that who is the person who has seen me in a consultant's role, and that's the person who has passed out me. But let me give you a couple of caveats here. That I have never ever gone to anybody for getting consulting assignments. And being a professor and a man of dignity is supposed to be, we all professors around the world never ever solicit and seek consulting services or consulting engagements, for sure. Rather, after Deepak gave me this job, I studied quite a bit about teaching and consulting as a simultaneous profession. I came to know about 90% consulting services come to a professor because of his popularity and knowledge of subject matter. And 10% of it comes to because of the institute's eminence. It can vary between 80 to 80-20, maybe 75-25, but the most of it comes because of consulting of the man. Any Nobel laureate who is a Nobel laureate in economics and teaching in any university eminence, it is expected that Nobel laureate will get a lot of consulting professions, right? So that's an extreme example. And I will share, when I say on my personal level, when I share, I'll be sharing my experience that how consulting services have not been positioned by me that I'm a consultant, I should be given some consulting assignment, rather how it has worked into me, kind of thing. And in that process, let me give you a couple of caveats that I will be talking a few things about me. Don't take it that I'm beating my drums, because that is what has helped me to position myself in the industry and in the professional world. And of course, my 34 years of application orientation in corporates have definitely gave me a lot of parichiti visibility in the market, which of course in last 9 years almost after leaving the corporate world, I have kept the visibility on. I have not allowed my any relationship with any professional colleague to die down. So what happens, many professors who come from industry for after 20 or 15 years, they do not maintain that corporate relationship, or it dies a kind of a natural death. But you can see that I have this kind of 3 bulk of visiting cards with me, and I keep receiving this kind of 3 sets of visiting cards are there on me since 1995. Whosoever professional I have met in my life and exchange cards, I have kept their visiting card with me, and at points of time either he or she has contacted me or I have contacted them. So caveat will be that please don't mind, I'll be speaking a bit about me. Now, Deepak was telling that I will not do any PowerPoint presentation, but I have created some talking points which I'll be definitely keep in front of me and in front of you, so that you can understand and appreciate what I'm talking about, and my presentation doesn't go haywire. Okay, so I'll be talking about, my talking is not how to get consulting. My talking points are rendering services to industry through consulting assignments. That's my talking point. And when I talk about this, I'll be talking about mostly from my experience than anything else. So when you talk about consulting services, I 34 years received consulting services from world level organizations like McKinsey, McKinsey, Golden Triangle, then Diamond Cluster, then Freshfields and Ernst Young, KPMG, to chhodi dijiye, those are normal. So what we see, the 5-point agenda for any consulting services is to provide expertise, knowledge in the
तुम्ही डायरेक्ट सांगा ना, धुळे शिरपूरचा जो नाही ब्रिजच्या बाजूला सांगा, लगेच समजतं मॅडम.
Sorry, I'm muted.
Okay, so I have seen from the perspective of consulting is the providing expertise, knowledge and services for the success and support. When you say support, you do risk management. When you say success, you do value addition. Of course, risk management services also create value by minimization of value destruction, because any risk not properly handled and succumbing to the risk creates a value destruction, and value destruction being negative to value addition is definitely not expected. So whenever we get any consulting assignment, may it be in the field of pharmaceuticals, may it be in the field of engineering, or in digital transformation, or in management, anywhere and everywhere, we are doing 2 things. Either we are helping my organization with whom I am engaged to come out of a risk, or to take an opportunity in its stride and create value. When we help them to come out of its risk, we minimize value destruction. And when we help them to create an opportunity and make best use of the opportunity, we do value addition. So the fundamental of consulting services is either value addition by value creation, or value addition by minimization of value destruction. What I will do, I'll quickly finish my presentation and then we'll get into a conversation with you and take your points. So you can either note down your points in your chat box, or you can keep it in your notes, and I can after the presentation is over, not my talking is over, not say presentation, I'll be definitely talking to you on your questions. Now, we professors always believe in a little bit of theory, so let's quickly get to know 2 things about it. One is, what is the orthodox definition of consulting? And I read it without distorting the knowledge. Orthodox definition of consulting, Sorry, can you see my presentation now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The orthodox definition of consulting is it is the provision of independent advice and assistance about the process of management to clients with management responsibilities. So management consulting is the provision of independent advice and assistance about the process of management to clients with management responsibilities. Let's not be misguided by the word management. Management doesn't mean management by management professionals only. Management can be meant by engineering professionals. Management can be meant by pharmaceutical professionals, or any professional belonging to even a communication teacher can be a management consultant, because corporate communication is a very important phenomenon. And today, one of the most important shortfall area of Indian corporates are communication. That's, I think Dr. Rakesh Nambiar will agree with me. So there are two approaches of consulting. One is a functional view approach, where financial consulting or any form of consulting is to provide help on the content, process, structure of a task or a series of tasks, where the consultant not actually responsible for doing itself, but is helping those who are. So consultant's role is on a content, is on a process, is on a structure, is on a task or a series of tasks, which he is not expected to perform, but he is helping others to perform. But let us keep one thing very clearly in mind. After 2013, when the New Companies Act came to India, there is a huge change from the perspective of a consultant in India. And that is, a consultant, when he is engaged in a consulting activity of any form, in any corporate or organization, he will be considered as a key managerial personnel, albeit he or she is a consultant. And that key managerial personnel can be taken to the court if it is found that because of his or her advice or his or her organization's advice, the client has suffered loss. And here I do mean any kind of service. Even you are helping an organization to develop an R&D department by a pharmaceutical teaching professor of pharmacy management, be it. So you are consulting anytime you are trying to change or improve a situation, but have no direct control over the implementations. That's a very important point to keep it in mind, that we are exposed to a situation where we do not have direct control. But yet at the same time, we are trying to help the organization. So I am not doing it on my own. So my independence are limited. I have no direct control. So again, I cannot order, I can only suggest. Having said that, the second advisor approach is the advisory approach. This advisory approach is again a very interesting approach, where it is said that an advisory service is contracted for and provided to the organization by specialized training and qualified person, which we are. So we are providing them with our due independence services, or we are giving them certain solutions which are to be implemented by them or implemented jointly with us for solving certain problems, managing certain risks, and creating certain view. So there are two approaches to consulting. One is the functional approach and one is the advisory approach. I personally feel an university professor, he should get into the functional view more, because unless you identify yourself, or unless I identify myself as one of the person responsible for delivery to the larger definition of stakeholders of a corporate, in whatever discipline I belong to and whatever consulting role I am doing, I will not be able to do my job, because an advisor is just an advisor. An advisor, unless and until identified himself, he cannot do justice to his advisory role. So certain words of wisdom very quickly. I'll take half an hour to finish my talking. After that, we can discuss. First words of wisdom is every man, however wise, needs the advice of some sagacious friend in the affairs of life. So when you are having an initial discussion, you give a feeling to your prospective client that, hey, you may be the best person to manage your business, but at times you also need business fresh air, and that fresh air can be brought by me. To accept good advice is but to increase one's own ability. When your clients say that you have the better ability, that's why I have called you as an advisor, be modest and say that no, I know what I know, but you know your business, and you will be able to do a better business if I tell you something. So your ability will be more post this advice. The next is to profit from good advice requires more wisdom than to give it. So if you charge a party your consulting advisory fee, then definitely you need more wisdom. And wisdom here doesn't mean professional knowledge. Wisdom really means the word wisdom. Rabindranath Tagore said, do not have the conceit to offer your advice to people who are far greater than you in every respect. That's a very, very loaded statement from Gurudev. So when I should not consider that I am better than my client, yet at the same time, I should not undermine myself also. The next opposite pole sentence is from Shakespeare. He says that good counselors lack no clients. The next point comes in the greatest trust between man and man is the trust of giving counsel. So we always go to gurus to get counsel. And that counsel can be successful if there is a relationship of trust. So a consultant has to be a trustworthy person to a client's organization. There are certain mandatory issues a consultant must always keep in mind, and with this slide, I'll finish my theoretical discussion. First is, there is a competitive pressure both on you as a consultant, because there are many other consultants in the market, and there is a competitive pressure on your client, because with your support and service, that client is looking for gaining competitive advantage, either in operational area, management area, finance area, HR area, or whatever area. The competitive advantage pressures are there both for you and your client. Similarly, regulations are to be abided by. You cannot be on the left side of the regulation. You have to be always on the right side. So when you are going for any consulting service, you should be reasonably aware of what are the legal and regulatory provisions of which are connected with the services you are giving to your client. Next is conflict of interest. We never get into a conflict of interest between us and our client. In other words, if I'm giving services to a listed company, I must not own this share of that company. Then my independence would go away. If before accepting the service request from that company, I must sell off their shares. I never do use the information of my client for buying, selling shares in the market. So I'll be treated as an insider trading. Protection of client data. I should be the man of superior trust because I will not disclose client's data. Professional malpractices and bribery, I'll never indulge upon. Needless to say that our professors of NMIMS University will have to be reminded of this. But nonetheless, since you are doing a theoretical discussion, I thought there is no harm in just reminding ourselves. Confidential client information is a side pressure because the moment at times by sheer power of talking, we express something confidential. But like I am a chartered accountant, I'm bound by the registration number given by the President of India to me, so I'm bound by certain ethical code of conduct of a chartered accountant. But not all professionals are that way, having any regulatory moral bindings on him or her. So you should be very careful about what you are handling and how much you can talk about it beyond the four walls of your office and beyond the four walls of your client's office, as well as to your wife also. Maybe your wife may be talking in loose talks to neighbors or friends, may be possible. So sensitive consulting knowledge is a very, very important area to understand, help. You can apply your experience and knowledge of one client to the other client. That's always possible. But that does not necessarily mean that you will disclose the information. So here my theoretical discussion ends and my practical orientation comes in. As a consultant, what I have seen and how I can help you to bring consultancy services to yourself, to the university, and thus benefit the industry and mutually you and the university getting benefited. First point I have seen in my life, there are 4 buyers of one consulting service. You will question how. There are 4 buyers of one consulting service. You will question how. Mr. Chawla, is this going on well? I can't see my video, of course.
Yes, it is going well, sir. It is going well.
If anything difficulty, please let me know.
Sure.
So when you are trying to sell a consulting service in any organization, you have 4 buyers. One is a policy decision buyer, that is your board of directors. Next is the technical buyer. Suppose you have gone to a commercial organization. Suppose it's a pharmaceutical company, and you have gone there as a research technologist advisor. So the technical buyer would be the head of technical research of that pharmaceutical company. If it is a financial services I'm giving to a company, being a chartered accountant, my technical buyer will be the CFO. Next is the financial buyer. He who approves the ultimate price at which my services will be valued at. And next is service recipient buyer. All these 3 people may not be in the field with you when you are providing the service. They could be junior managers, middle level managers, senior managers. And on their satisfaction and delight will depend upon the next service contract of yours in the same organization, or there could be a word of mouth of these people at the industry meetings or in the neighborhood or with fellow professionals or friends and philosophers. These service recipients are your biggest advertisement agents. I'll tell you why. Because being professors of university, we cannot publicize our services. Neither we can approach a person like a nagging person that, okay, mujhe de dijiye, mujhe de dijiye, mujhe de dijiye. What we need to do is that once we make an inroad into an organization, we need to see that all these buyers of one service are happy. That means my support services, my consulting advices, their effect and impact are perceived by the board of directors to better result and reduce risk management issues. Technical buyer is happy that I am technically competent and technically understood what I have to do. And at the end, the technical buyer will again come back and take reviews from people at number 4, that whether you are happy, because he is not at the field when you are delivering the service. And next is financial buyer. Once the contract value is decided, now it's a question of payment. What are the points we should keep in our mind? The point we should keep it in our mind is, first, fees are not never charged. Fees are not and never charged. Fees are taken out of the value you add by maximization of value creation and minimization of value destruction. If you are, suppose the client frankly asks, sir, you tell me what is your fee. You say your way of dealing with it would be, practically let me tell you that you are conversing with your prospective client. that I generally do not charge any fee. I share the value I bring to the table. How do I share the value by bringing to the table? Either by minimization of value destruction. I reduce your risk, I reduce your expenses, I improve your processes, that reduces your material consumption, that reduces your rejection rate, and thus you add value that reduces your production cycle time. Or I add value to your systems by creating more sales because of new product I'm helping you to develop. So that's the point. You never charge fees. You share the value with your client. And never ever think of that client will always give you money in cash. If you are working for a startup client who doesn't have money because they are already burning cash for developing a product or a solution or developing a solution, be prepared to get sweat equity. That means a part of your service fee, maybe 25% of your service fee, be prepared to take in cash, because you should at least get some cash. Rest you can get in sweat equity. I had this experience of rendering 3-year services to a Bangalore-based company, which is a startup on blockchain. I got sweat equity. Rather, the contract was sweat equity. And be prepared to give certain services pro bono. That is without any fees. So you have 4 buyers. You don't charge any fee. You do pro bono services. You share the value you create. That is the principle one takes from this slide. Next, substance over form. What is our form being university professors? The form is at the entry level. We are a faculty member of a reputed school of a university of national eminence. That is our parichoy. That is our recognition. And at the entry level, our form is, client is assuming as a form of mine, is that I'm supposed to have expertise knowledge on certain subject areas. That's our form. But form doesn't help at all in consulting services. What else is application orientation? And application orientation comes when you have substance in you. How the substance comes to you? Experience in industry, if you have, of course, you should. But believe me, I have seen many consultants in my working life who had experience in industry and now joined a consulting organization. And having joined a consulting organization, they have forgotten what they have done when they were in the executive position. So when you change your hat, or when you change your playing field, or when you change your chair from one side of the table to the other, please do not forget that you have to rub shoulders with the people who are in operations. Either you may be a professor, or I may be a consultant, but I have to rub shoulders with the person who is an operation. So I have to speak in the language of an operation guy, speak in the language of an operation professional, speak in the language of technicalities and understandings and application orientation, which this guy is having. I should be having some research work in a live industry. That's the most important point, that unless you have proved yourself that if you don't have any industry experience, then you should have a live research work experience to get your consulting assignments, or you have written excellent articles. I'll come to that little later. And next is, if you have history of collaboration, this collaboration can be a pro bono collaboration. Collaboration can be doing a survey. Like we did a survey with Bombay Chamber of Commerce and our social entrepreneurship department. We did a survey of Bombay suburbs and Bombay itself, where women, ladies are capable of being redeployed, but not redeployed and sitting at home because for child growing or whatever purpose. So how we can employ them from when they are sitting at home? That was one of the consulting assignments NMIMS at a university level got through me for the social entrepreneurship department. So history of collaboration is very important. Next is visibility. This is the most important slide. If you have to get consulting assignments, you have to have visibility. I reiterate one point which I said at the beginning, that consulting assignments for professionals like us who are in academics do not come after solicitation. They walk to you. Those organizations walk into you and talk to you to accept. I'll give you certain examples from my real life as I go ahead. I'll finish another maybe 15 minutes time, 10 to 15 minutes time maximum. So you should be, your physical presence should be in conferences. I have done not less than 150 conferences in my life so far, both in corporate life and this life. Corporate training programs. I was right from Bamalori in 1980s. I was a member of the administrative staff school of IBP Bamalori Group of Industry. Sorry, I'll be blowing my trumpet a bit. I gave you the caveat at the beginning. Industry visits with your students, without your students. Members of committees in Chamber of Commerce. I remember in 1996, I was a member of the Taxation and Finance Committee of Bombay Chamber of Commerce, when Mr. Devasthali of L&T gave me an assignment for training and development, finance for non-finance, which was done in Oberoi Grand in Nariman Point. So your membership in Chamber of Commerce is very, very important. You will ask, how do I get it? That depends upon your visibility in the world. Co-opted membership of national level institutes. Like I am a member of co-opted member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. 2 years I was in their research committee. And now I am a co-opted member in the Advanced Studies Committee of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. Thus I got a consulting service for designing certain new courses, which was paid service. Subsequently, I got the chairpersonship of the Syllabus Advisory Committee. Of course, this was a pro bono service because I am in ICWAI or ICAI is my alma mater. Let us remember, money begets money. So do you have your personal website? I have my personal website. Of course, last 3 weeks that website is down because of some software being changed by my website provider. I have a website since 2014. I joined NMIMS in 2013. What is this website doing for me? Whatever I write, whatever conference I go, I used to put the videos and the writings and the conference details, my knowledge papers in this website, my consulting services in this website. Now I have opened my own personal channel, personal Twitter channel, YouTube channel. In that there are 33 videos now and about 179 visitors to this channel. There are international and national discussions of mine are there. You will say, Dr. Basu, how many subscribers you have? I have only 180 subscribers. How many visitors you have to your personal channel? Maybe 8 to 10 visitors every day, or maybe 20 visitors every month. When the 8 to 10 visitors increases, when I add a new video record, it falls down. But there is a visibility of mine that people who have visited once without subscribing my channel, they know that here is a person on whom in his channel there are 4 or 5 blockchain related talks available, including one in Moscow, one for Germany, and several for other sessions. So there is a mindset getting created that this man, if anything to be talked on blockchain, this man may be consulted. So you should be having your personal website. You should be having some national television presence. Of course, after coming to NMIMS, I never had any national television presence, but I used to be a regular national television participant in various discussions in CNBC TV18 and NDTV, etc. In those days. Of course, you may not have national television channel, but you can have national webinars conducted by newspapers. Recently, I participated in an ETH. It's a national digital transformation seminar, the biggest seminar, biggest summit conducted by Economic Times. You can write columns in national dailies. recently I wrote a invited column on audit of small enterprises. So these things give you visibility of okay, this man knows about this, so let's go to him. Social media presence, I need not super emphasize, but many of us have social medias accounts like in LinkedIn, Twitter and co. But believe me, we do not post regularly, we do not give our own post, we do not reshare others' post with comments, we do not like or we do not react. Posting own item are very important. You need not be another social journalist. So there are many LinkedIn guys or many Twitter guys who puts newspaper reports through their own tweet handles and LinkedIn handles. I also do it, but to a very limited extent. You can do that. Like on CBDC, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, I have shared many newspaper reports, but definitely with your comments. Unless those reports are with your comments, with your critical views, and if that views are not consistent, people will not perceive you as an expert on the subject. And that is where it comes. And I'll tell you how this has helped me. I'll tell you how this has helped me. Very soon I'll tell you. Next is follow eminent professionals. I follow Bernard Marr, a guy who has got several awards and considered to be the voice of Europe on digital transformation by LinkedIn. So you need to understand whom to follow. Who are the guys whom you should follow? Because people perceive your level and your stature if you are following right kind of people, and also of course from your posts. Finally, you should be visible through the webinars conducted by Chamber of Commerce, institutions and schools and universities. Like NMI MS MBA Law, I have done more than 12 to 13 webinars in last 2 years because I'm a chairperson of MBA Law. That has given me a lot of visibility into the industry. So you be when your programs are done, you give a lot of visibility. I think this is my last slide, and here I will give you my experience, what all consulting I have done, and how those consultations opportunities have come to me. First is Trescon Global. This is the organization which has given me a Lifetime Achievement Award. I know this organization for last about 17, 18 years. They are visible in India and all over the world. They have taken me to Moscow, but I give them always pro bono service. I never ask them even for a rupee for any session I deliver for them, any work I do for them. Their sessions visibility has given me consulting services in Bangalore. These consulting services, which I did for roughly about 2.5 years, which is a digital transformation project using blockchain. This has come from visibility of Trescon. Global Landmark Media. This is one which has come from my television channel programs and my LinkedIn. Association of Corporate Treasurers in London. SCT London is an equivalent organization of SCT USA. They are worldwide education provider for treasury services, kind of a CFA kind of an organization, of course, not that big. There was a marketing manager of SCT London who came to India and was putting some, delivering some session on treasury operations in a financial services company. Immediately before his session, my session was there. At that time, I used to be a CFO. This guy remembered me, and when I joined NMIMS, he wrote to me about helping them to improve treasury education in India, which is in addition to chartered accountancy or cost accountancy. So they have got a consulting house in India called Sannam S4. So SCT gave me a contract which they paid me in pounds. This was my first overseas contact. I got 200 pounds for this service. Subsequently, SET said that we have appointed Sannam S4, so you be a consultant of Sannam S4. Now, how this consultancy assignment came to me? It came to me because I was speaking in a Triscon Global Conference where the marketing head of Association of Corporate Treasurers London was present and Sannam S4 CEO was present. Through my talk, they could perceive that this man understands financial services, consultancy and financial services, how to receive consulting services of financial consultant. And of course, treasury operation, what was my area. So they appointed me a consultant and I did some work with them. Next is Bombay Chamber of Commerce. Bombay Chamber of Commerce, of course, I know them from 1994, but before coming to NMIMS, I lost contact with them because I was in Reliance and SR, I could not do any work. In those days, I used to work for 16, 17 hours a day. So Bombay Chamber of Commerce, the moment I came out of these two industries and joined, they took me in the HR committee. See the idea. I'm a finance guy, but I have been adopted to HR committee. Who adopted me to the HR committee? Head of HR of an organization who knows me. He adopted me and said that, no, you cannot be in finance committee. You have to be in HR committee. What for? I was made the director of training of HR committee of Bombay Chamber of Commerce. So I was asked to organize a lot of half-day sessions, training sessions. So I became a director. In my capacity as a director, I used to get consulting fees. And in my capacity as a speaker of some session, I used to get my speaker fees. Very interesting engagement. I used to earn 3 ways. One, designing the program as a consultant, director of the program as a consultant, and speaker as any other speaker. Then I did some consulting over phone also. There is an organization called GLG. All of you who are professionally expert, they look for professors. They look for research scholars in GLG. It's a global group who engages you as a consultant, and this service of consultant is provided only through telephone. I am a member of GLG. Also, I am a member of another Singapore-based telephone consulting organization with whom I have done a service for $250. One consultation I have done. $250, 45 minutes. That's the kind of fee you can expect as a telephone consultant. But this, I never solicited this consultancy. It came to me on its own. Because they have seen me in LinkedIn, they have seen my personal website, they have seen me in conferences, and they gave me consulting. This is also an export. I don't remember the organization. It was most probably Diamond Visibility or something. Then came Bishop Rock Consulting. Believe me, this is a very, very unique consulting. What is Bishop Rock Consulting? Bishop Rock Consulting is a one-man show in India. This guy is a Indian consultant of a foreign consultancy firm. This foreign consultancy firm in turn provides services to foreign investors. So Bishop Rock Consulting one day phoned me. In those days, my phone number used to be there in LinkedIn profile. These days, it's not there. He said, Dr. Basu, we want to talk to you. And they talked to me on steel industry. You can ask me what connection you have with steel industry. When I was in Bamaladi, I used to buy 50,000 tons of steel because Bamaladi used to produce steel drum. And I was one of the tender committee member, being the head of SBU Industrial Packaging and Western Region head of finance. I used to know quite a bit about industry, and I have given a training session in a professional forum on how discount management is done by steel industry. That link has brought me this consulting. And I got a one-time consulting fees from this organization, Bishop Rock. Omea Logistics. Omea Logistics is a marine freight container service provider in JNPT port in Navi Mumbai. Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, Navi Mumbai, they gave me this consulting assignment. Why? Because I was an IFRS expert, because in 2008 in India, when IFRS was not even heard of, I was one of the 3 CFOs of India who has converted roughly about 200 odd companies of SR all over the world into IFRS. So NDTV took a program with me with a KPMG partner and one CFO of another organization. Omnia Logistics and their auditing firm came to know about me that I have left the industry and joined NMIMS. So they said, sir, you have done so many conversion, you help us to do conversion of our accounts into IFRS. So where from it came? I never solicited, I never knew Omnia Logistics. And now came the largest consulting assignment of my life so far, Ghari Detergent Powder of Kanpur. I never knew this company. I never knew anything about this. It was a 24 months assignment and total bill value was roughly about 65 lakhs for this consulting. Of course, I was not the person who raised the bill of 65 lakhs because I was a consultant's consultant. This Radisson Consulting, a chartered accountant firm, used to know these owners of this Ghari detergent powder, who are Gyan Chandanis of Kanpur, a very good reputed industrial group of Kanpur. This company's name is RSPL. RSPL is a Ghari detergent powders brand owner. Now, Radisson Consulting, one day I was sitting in the old building. That time our school was in Mitibai College. Came and told me, Dr. Vasu, we understand you have expertise in IFRS. I said, how do you know? He said that we have seen your LinkedIn post and your television programs. So, and you have done, by that time I had done 2 issues. One is $1.9 billion issue in FTSE 100 series in London. And I have done $1.5 billion issue, $5 billion issue in Singapore of FCCB. He said that our client wants to prepare themselves right from the word scratch because it's a promoter-driven company and they want to become IPO ready. For several matters, of course, they have not come to IPO as yet. That is a different story altogether. But we, from liftman to the chairman of this organization, we changed everything of this organization. When I say liftman to the chairman, I talk about the systems and processes, right from human resource to operations to services to manufacturing to materials management. Name any unit of the organization, name any line item in the chart of accounts of the company. We even suggested how to minimize their wastage factor. We even suggested how the quality control system should be improved, how it has to be directly linked with SAP. We suggested them control management systems of their operations. So it was a complete dholai of the organization, kind of say. Don't repeat me anywhere. Next is Institute of Cost Accountants of India. I did both pro bono and partially paid. Institute of Cost Accountants of India came to know that I am a member of the research committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. 2 years I was there, 2010-11 and 2012-13. So they said that, okay, that was your alma mater, you were there, so why don't you come to us also and give us some service? So me and Dr. Somnath Roy, we collaborated, and both in terms of collaboration, we are given to design their data analytics silver certificate and golden certificate. This program is now in its 4th year, most probably, and the institute is minting money on this particular program. And now the institute has made me the chairperson of the syllabus advisory committee, which will be invoked for next 5 years, and roughly about 3 lakh students will study this. Our syllabus recommendation has been already approved by the Central Council of ICAI. So that's the kind of things coming in. Leaderonomics. Leaderonomics is an organization of Malaysia. Now, one of my professor colleague have given me this lead. She is a professor of NMIMS in HR area. So they said that in HPCL, Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited, there is a vigilance week and they want a speaker who will talk on blockchain for ethical business practices. So Dr. Hema Bajaj said, ki, we have a professor whose passion area is blockchain. Why don't you talk to him? So that lady, who is an Indian representative of Leaderonomics Malaysia, she contacted me. She is herself a faculty member, visiting faculty member of NMIMS. She said, Dr. Varshu, you speak. I speak for 2 hours at the national level of HPCL, and this speech was huge hit. Immediately after that, we got a proposal that can we deliver 10 sessions on artificial intelligence, machine learning and deep learning. And now I have involved 3 professors of SBM and 3 professors of MP STME design these 10 sessions, which is a consulting assignment for training their own employees, senior level employees, on blockchain, AI and ML and deep learning. So at times your lead for getting consulting assignment comes from your own professors. Because of what? Because that professor never knew, being an HR area, never knew that I am a blockchain passionate guy. Because he or she has seen my postings in LinkedIn, Twitter, my publications, then only these consultation leaders come. Now, what are the projects of mine in pipeline? Projects of mine in pipeline are many, which none of them has as yet succeeded. I am in talk with a company called Dragon Chain, which is a Walter Disney company of US, for giving us financial support to set up a blockchain lab in NMIMS University. I have talked to a company in Miami, Chicago, which is called Nebulae, for this blockchain platform. I have talked to an Indo-German forum in the city of Hamburg, Germany, for giving us funding under Social Entrepreneurship Forum so that we can develop a agricultural blockchain platform, which is of course a very ambitious project of 3 years and we need a lot of money. If we get this kind of an assignment, many professors and many students and many PhD scholars of SBM, our School of Law and our School of Engineering, because blockchain is a combination of technology, law and management, we'll be able to develop a very big project. So I'm trying. Recently, when I gave a talk on HPCL on blockchain, HPCL called me one day and said, sir, can you explore the possibility of developing a blockchain platform for us where we'll be doing privately managing our documents in our private blockchain platform? Because HPCL has got many petrol pumps and there are many things happens in their organization because of land records, etc. So that is another pipeline in the thing. So because of my visibility in LinkedIn, Twitter, my articles, my national and international level webinars, my personal YouTube channel, people have started come to know that I am in the digital area, passionate about it, and they have started talking about me supporting them in their effect. But believe me, always remember that you have a financial buyer and you have a technical buyer. So your financial buyer will look for sharing the values and your technical buyer will look for your knowledge. I'll stop there and I'll look for your question.
So,
Good afternoon,
thank you,
sir.
Vasu, for this, and we can have the questions coming up. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Very good afternoon to you, sir. I'm Dr. Astha Sharma from School of Commerce, Dhule campus. Recently, I have joined the organization. It is so wonderful to listen you and your vast experience, sir. In the beginning, you have explained things like, I don't know how come they have selected me, but seeing your profile and like vast experience you are holding, hats off to you. My first question to you is, how do you manage your time, sir? Because you are doing so many things and it's really challenging because you're posting somewhere, you are doing the work. It's multitasking at extreme levels. So how could you please share one tip for us that how can we manage our time? Then I'll move ahead with my next questions.
Okay, good question. See, when I was a born asthma patient in my life, so I have a habit of working on the run and on the wheel. So when I used to travel in train, I used to study. When I used to go for audit, I used to study in the evening in the client's guest houses. And now I have little bit of money to afford a driver. So when I am in the car, I think of what I have to do next. In the morning, I plan my day. I read extensively. These days, I read more from the digital world than in newspaper. At times, I get up 5 o'clock in the morning. At times, I work up to 12:30 at night. At times, my wife and me, we are sitting and watching television serials, and I'm also, my laptop is on, because those works which are not to be brainy work, but I can routinely do when I see the serials, because serials are not very heavy stuff. So I plan a lot. I read a lot. And after teaching 9 courses as a senior professor of NMIMS, students encourage me. If the students can learn 7 to 8 subjects in a trimester, being a professor, why I cannot do so much things? And believe me, I have recently I have written a case study which is published in Ivy and Harvard, along with a student of NMIMS and a professor of IIM Kozhikode. So planning is very important, ma'am, and never waste your time. Even when you are traveling, you can do your work. That work will be mentally. Carry a small sheet in your wallet. Of course, you carry, of course, a bag. Note down what you have thought through at that point of time so that you don't forget. Of course, I'm 68 years old almost. So at this age, biological age is taking me over. Although I'm very young, I feel I'm 17 years old. But 68 is a biological number. So I keep thinking, I keep noting down. That's how I manage my time.
Great, sir. Great, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, we are, as compared to you, we are just in the beginning of our career. Means I feel I have passed 16 years of my career in academics field. But since I joined NMIMS, even I am looking forward towards learning how to get, how to collaborate with industries to do that assignments of consultant. So, some people say here when I talk that, how can you get a work in a place like, suppose you're working at Dhule, but I feel that if we are even working online now, digital platforms are there. So being here, we can do a lot of work towards progress of the industry in different fields. Now the next question is, like, people don't like to share their internal data even when we do research. So those are certain limitations when we work towards a collection of data, planning and all. So how do you overcome those things, and how we can proceed in a place which is more restricted in terms of sharing?
Okay, I'll borrow your name to explain the concept. Your name is Astha, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you have to live up to your name, Astha. Means you have to generate Astha of all the people on you. How do you generate? Whatever, you either start your own website by spending some money, because money begets money, or you start your own YouTube channel. In my YouTube channel, there is no NMIMS classroom lecture. All my various other lectures. You be in LinkedIn, be visible almost every day. I have 16,800 plus followers in LinkedIn. I repeat the number, 16,800 plus followers, and I have not built in one day. A lot of time has been wasted, a lot of reading has been done. 2018, I was invited by Delhi University to give a talk on central bank digital currency and cryptocurrency. Since that day, I am saying cryptocurrency will never be succeeded in the world. Private cryptocurrency. That time people didn't hear about CBDC. You develop your thought process about something emerging. Continuously refine it and write about it. Have a choice of your passion area from your professional expertise. Continuously make yourself visible in national television channel, Twitter, LinkedIn. The more you become visible, people will start visiting you, because young people are always liked by the young professionals and young startups and young entrepreneurs. Like a young boy is sitting with us. They collaborate better with young people than the old haggards like us. So where from I got that Jaga's assignment? I got it from LinkedIn. One fine morning, I got a call from Sanjay Rathore of Bangalore. He said, "Sir, I want to come to NMIMS and meet you. I am in Bombay." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "Sir, I have just got connected with you in LinkedIn." "How do you know about me?" "Sir, I have seen your past 1 month's posts. I've seen your television channels. I've seen your website." The consultancy will walk to you. You don't have to walk to the consultancy. Provided you make your expertise, your opinion, your views visible to the world. We professors can't do marketing, neither do we have money. एक अपना वेबसाइट स्टार्ट करने के लिए आपको 35,000 रुपया लगता है, और 5,000 रुपया 10,000 रुपया एक वेबसाइट हायर करने के लिए लगता है 60 का. Spend that money. Develop your website, spend that money. That will be your repository of what you have done in your life. How I got, let me tell you how I got. Recently, I wrote an invited column in Mint. For the first time, I have written 2 invited columns very recently, one on healthcare, blockchain and healthcare, and one is on Mint on auditing. Recently on auditing on SMEs, small and medium enterprises, there is a NFRA, you know NFRA, National Financial Reporting Authority, has said that auditing of small enterprises should be dispensed with. So one lady called Payasini Upadhyay, she used to work in CNBC TV18 and went to Bloomberg. With Mini Menon of Bloomberg, I did a lot of television programs. Payasini has now become a director. Payasini told the Mint editor of that area, financial area, he called Dr. Basu to write a column on it. I wrote it, and I delivered this article in 48 hours time. Every month and without any failure, last 28 months, I am writing an article in Institute's journal with national visibilities. 8,000, 4,000, 7,000, 6,000 is the visibility of my articles every month. Don't you think if Astha increases, Astha of others on Astha, then your Astha of getting consultation will increase, no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Astha begets Astha, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
How do you develop Astha on you? Astha of others on you as Astha. It's your professional work, your professional contribution, your professional visibility, your positioning yourself. I never sat for a single day in a digital transformation class. I have never sat in a computer class. But today I am considered to be one of the persons to be reckoned for blockchain technology. How is it possible that I could write I was been invited by AIMA National Conference on Blockchain, where people are coming from Microsoft, Google, IBM talking on blockchain, and where is Dr. Basu, who has never studied in a computer class even for half an hour. How it is possible? It is possible only because you have developed the passion, and consulting comes on its own. Like अगर flower खिलते हैं तो honey भी तो आएगा ही आएगा. Something like that. Got the answer?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, Dr. Rakesh, your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chawla. Dr. Basu, it was really fascinating to hear you say, in fact, you have deconstructed the entire idea of consultancy. Since we all belong to NMIMS, so I would like to know your view, like what does NMIMS, let's say, privilege more, or is there any sort of consultancy which you said about the paid consultancy or the non-paid consultancy? How have you seen the difference between the two when it comes to the university's outlook towards it?
See, first of all, if our university accepts any consultancy payment assignment, it has to be paid, because university will not give any pro bono assignment. Like I gave you example of that Bombay Chamber of Commerce assignment for studying the capable women who are sitting at home and the wastage of resources, human resources. So BCCI gave us a project. But let me tell you, pro bono assignments you can always get from your friends. Like you as a communication teacher, you must be a hot cake on communication area, because in India is lacking in communication. Believe me, seriously. I have worked in my working life with IIM Ahmedabad से लेकर के दुनिया की best of the best business school की, either as a consultant they have interacted with me, or I have interacted with them as my junior colleagues. Communication is a big area. So Dr. Nambiar, how many times I see you in LinkedIn, either reacting to one of my posts or you give me a chance to react to your post. How have you built up your image that here is a guy who is there to solve your communication problem? That is where the consultancy would come. And maybe initially what all people will say कि मेरा 2 घंटा दिन में LinkedIn में waste होता है. I have also wasted, and the benefit of it I'm getting today, right? Yesterday I have given a lecture of a school in Kanpur on an international forum called Round Square. There is an international forum of schools called Round Square. There are 200 schools all around the world, and yesterday in my class there were 16 schools, 1 from Pakistan, 2 from Bangladesh, and 1 from Mauritius, rest are from India. This organization has paid me 10,000 rupees for one lecture of 1 hour. And the feedback I got, I can show you. They said that you are an educational rock star, because they are so overwhelmed and bowled out by my lecture of yesterday only, between 2 to 3:30. How they come to know about me? And you know, to a standard 11-12 student, what I talked about, human and ethical dimensions of blockchain technology and digital transformation, which I spoke in Moscow, and same thing I spoke in Economic Times, and same thing I spoke in the Round Square International Conference of School Students. And I believe the feedback that school students are enthused today for digital transformation. Now they are my potential clients of future. If you do a very good conference, 700 people were sitting in the Dubai hall when I was doing a panel discussion sessions with leaders of digital transformation for all over the world. Microsoft was present, IBM was present. At times you will feel, can I do that? No, you डर के आगे तो जीती होता है ना डॉक्टर नाम्बियर. तो मेरा ये है, the question you asked me, Dr. Nambiar, कि how do I do pro bono or not pro bono, or what university can help me? That's what I was chatting with Mr. Chawla. University is doing a lot of executive program, But during the course of that executive program, we are not positioning our professors and faculty colleagues that these people are capable of taking your assignments. Suppose they are giving an industry live problem. I just, during lunchtime, I chit chat with him. Okay, these are the problems you are facing. Why don't you collaborate? Don't say, give me a consultant assignment. That's the biggest mistake of your life you will do. You say, why don't you collaborate? Being professionals, they will feel shy that they will receive pro bono services from you. For the first time in my career, yesterday, my 10,000 rupees check entered my bank account day before yesterday morning from a school, higher secondary school, not a corporate, not a professional institution. And our university 2 महीने के बाद payment करते हैं speaking time लोगों को. Deepak, don't record it, please, because it's a system issue. It's not that our embassy doesn't want to pay. It's a system issue. So, Dr. Nambiar, you collaborate with me. You persistently follow diligently 1 year of LinkedIn postings on communications of India. I am guaranteeing you will be a communication consultant very soon. It's my guarantee. I follow a group of lawyers. How do you think that people understand me that I am a lawyer? I have not sat in a law class even for a day.
That's true.
You know, you are acting without having a law degree with me. How do I know about it? The question is how people perceive you. People will perceive you as you make them to perceive. Now, how do you make people to perceive your position? By your good work. That will bring you consultancy. Are you a member of any federation of communicators? So I follow a group in LinkedIn where more than 2 million lawyers and accountants and CEOs are there. 2 million. Do you follow the CFOs group in LinkedIn, Asta madam? Perhaps no. So if you are not following the CFOs of LinkedIn or CFOs forum, how do you know what your finance colleagues in industry are doing? If you remain within the 4 walls of the university classroom, then you can't get the fresh air. You don't know what is happening in the world. Dr. Nambiar has recently done his PhD, and I was one of the person who used to be after him. Apna PhD khatam karo jaldi jaldi.
That's true.
So you got your answer, Dr. Nambiar.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Efforts gives results. डर की आगे जीत है.
Definitely.
और डर के पीछे हार है. उसको सोचना ही नहीं है कभी.
That's. Thank you so much.
So, Hina ma'am, you can unmute and switch on your camera and ask. It will be nice.
Sorry, yes, my answer's a bit long, but I thought it will be useful. Yeah.
Not at all, sir. Thank you so much. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. Yeah, I am Assistant Professor Hina Pua from Narsi Monji College. So my question to you is that are we as academicians allowed within our consultancy tasks to involve students if we want to give them also a wider horizon of the industry requirements? Would that reduce my credibility as a consultant?
Very interesting question and very interesting perception. Let me tell you, recently I have started a research on digital transformation of Indian banks and banking institutions of the world. We have already completed a book chapter which is being published by SAGE and NIBM. But do you know one thing? Who has done the maximum legwork of research? Students of NIBM who have done a pro bono job, and one student of NMIMS we have taken by paying 5,000 rupees I have paid, and my co-researcher of NIBM has paid 5,000, 10,000. involving students in your research work or in your corporate project work is a very, very good phenomenon, very, very good way. NMIMS gets, particularly School of Business Management, gets a lot of corporate projects which are done by students. I was talking to Deepak that why not we subtly position our professors in those corporate projects, like we get corporate projects from ITC, marketing projects, various FMCG companies, and our students do those projects. Rather, it happens ulta to what you have said. Students get projects, we do not get positioned into those projects.
Yes, true.
So our executive education center, our corporate projects which come through our placement department and corporate cell of our schools, various schools, should have a subtle methodology of positioning our faculty members and say that we will reduce your cost of consultation by involving our students, because they will be doing for a little bit of their pocket money and including something in their CV. But our professors will give them, and it will be a deadly combination of knowledge and doing.
Absolutely. So that's precisely my question, is that, say, for example, I'm a teacher of brand management and I get a consultancy task for rebranding a particular firm. So I give that as a live project to my class. I mean, of course, a few selected trusted students who I know will take this very seriously, and they get a chance to work on a live project. And but is that going to reduce? Do you think companies would be hesitant allowing me to do that?
No, when we spoke to that Chicago, Miami organization, or these people, they were very happy that we are so happy that instead of recruiting coders, you are taking your students in corporate projects. So our cost of projects will definitely go down. So collaborating with students and teacher for doing corporate consulting and project is always welcome. And it is the tradition of all foreign universities.
Okay. So the question came to my mind because in one of your previous slides,
let me give you a caveat.
Okay.
If you get consulting assignments for which you are paid, you should disclose this to, as you know, 30% you have to surrender. So if you have to take a student, you have to go to the placement department, say them that we want 2 students, this should be the profile, and we are ready to pay so much of money. Like we did for this banking project. We have already created a 30-page chapter which is being published. So we paid one of the students of NMIMS as a project. We gave her a task. She did the task and we paid from our own money because it was our own effort. If it would have been a corporate effort, we would have paid from that money, and that cost, our earning would have been reduced. So our 30% share to NMIMS University would have reduced.
Right. So that's what in one of your previous slides, you said that one of the rules of consultancy is maintaining the secrecy of the task at hand. So how much can I trust my students at large that they will also abide by this rule?
That's a good point. If you cannot trust, then don't give, because you can breach the trust of your client. That is the last thing you can do in your life as a consultant and as a professor.
Absolutely.
They are both, the reputations are at stake. Your own personal, your own institution, and nonetheless you are harming your client. So why do you get into that?
True. Right. Right. Fair enough. So unless and until you're very sure of a particular set of students, you should not indulge in this.
And even if you feel that, you can rely on the student, but you don't want to take chances because the data is too confidential, don't give. And it is coming from a chartered accountant who is duty bound by the president's registration number.
I agree. And it is all right to share the revenues with the students. Is it all right?
In any case, you have to share with the NMIMS. You need not share with the student, You say that student, you will do this work. We are ready to pay you so much. Are you ready? There your job so far as the student is over. But that you have to surrender 30%. Like what I do, I maintain total transparency. Whenever there is an assignment comes, I straightway send it to Dean and said, this is my contract. If there is a contract, I get the contract also renewed by the legal officer of NMIMS. Like I did a contract with the company for whom I am a consultant. My contract with that company was vetted by the legal authority of NMIMS University. Total transparency is the first language of first word of art and language of a professional. Moreover, you are a professor, so you have to transparently declare to the university, this is my contract, this is my terms of engagement, this is what I am going to do. I promise that my professional deliverables of NMIMS University will not get affected. You get the approval of the dean, you get the money, surrender 30%, your job is done. So far as the student is concerned, you go to your placement department, give them a corporate project, there you need not disclose that what is your corporate value.
Right. Got it. Right. Fair enough, sir. So also one quick question that like right now you're talking about 30%. Is this like a standard all across universities? Because we are just starting off this consultancy at NM College. So we are not sure of how this works.
Let me tell you, this is what is the standard. All of summer it is 25, mostly it is 30%. Point number one. When I was in Bamalari, in Bombay, Bamalari, I used to come to NMIMS as a teacher on every Sunday morning. 6 दिन काम किया ऑफिस में, 1 दिन पढ़ाने के लिए आते थे Sunday morning. My wife used to kind of divorce me in those days. So I used to get 500 rupees in those days for a 3 hours class. I'm talking about 1995 to 2001. My Bamalari, don't think of an university, Bamalari, a corporate organization in public sector, used to take 1/3 from me.
Okay, got it.
Because Sunday is a paid holiday.
Right.
So they used to take. So it is a standard practice all over the world.
All right. Okay, sir. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Connect with me in LinkedIn. That will be the best way to connect.
Yeah.
So we would love to have you over at our college also.
Thank you.
Yeah, Atharva, you would like to ask something?
Yes, sir. So as you all know, I am doing MBA Digital Transformation here. So I'm working with Rahul Dhige, sir, and we are trying to develop SCM lab, which is Supply Chain Management Lab, which we can further portray to industries whenever they come in. Basu sir also talked about developing blockchain related labs and blockchain related projects. And do you think there can be a way that MBA digital transformation students can get in touch with you and work on things related to blockchain and things like that? Or
by all means, I think MPSTM is conducting a hackathon.
Yes.
And your that particular functional group's president has already talked to me. He is he's approached me in LinkedIn. He is supposed to call me today only.
Okay. So as far as collaborating with you on projects related to technology and consultancy, is there a formal way of approaching you, or?
I am the most informal person of this world. I am just a phone call away.
Okay, sir.
That is the way I operate. I operated in my corporate life and this life also.
Sure.
Let me tell you a story of my life. Yes. In 2002, I joined Reliance, and one day I left the DAKC, that is my office, at 10:30 at night. There was one gentleman who used to call him a tiger, Mr. Merchant, my boss. This tiger called me when I was near IIT Powai. That time it was about 11 o'clock at midnight. 11 o'clock, I am reaching my house at around that time. And his phone was ringing away and my phone was in a silence mode. Next day morning, he said that has the office given you a phone in addition to your personal phone not to answer my call? From that day, I have answered all calls except spams, and I have answered all messages in LinkedIn and my mailbox. That is a lifetime lesson I've learned. And I salute that gentleman every day because of hitting me that night below the belt.
So hypothetically speaking, if a project proposal is there with you which is related to tech, and so how would we as students get to know that you have something like that?
See, I am trying my best to get a blockchain platform project either for crowdfunding or agriculture or healthcare or honeybee keeping, for which I am in touch with German group of people. So the moment I get a project, understanding with me and the vice chancellor of the university is that KPM SOL, our law school, SBM Mumbai, and MPSTME. All three of us will set up a blockchain lab there in MPSTME. We'll decide about the remuneration to be paid to our students at corporate projects, and honorarium to be paid to our professors and PhD scholars. So that our cost reduces, because coding will be done by our students only. Some assignments can be given by your summer projects also, with some little bit of payment. In fact, two of the students of MPSTME has already done a summer project on my blockchain platform. They have prepared the KYC module of my blockchain platform. Okay. So that is on. Only luck is not favoring us. We are not getting a guy who can fund us. In fact, there is a proposal for agriculture also for Shirpur campus.
Okay.
So maybe when we are in Kishan Vikas blockchain platform, Shirpur can also help us. Asta madam, you are in Shirpur, right?
Dhule, sir, Dhule. I'm in Dhule. That is nearby.
Okay.
So the next speaker who's raised his hand is from Shirpur, Dr. Shubham Joshi. He's from Shirpur. Maybe we can, Shubham, you'd like to ask your question? He's from Shirpur.
Sir, good evening, sir. It's great to see you here.
Good
Am I audible?
Good evening. Good evening. Can I see you over your other side of the screen?
Actually, I'm driving actually, and I'm just attending the station from my car.
Acha, I am in touch with you. I am in touch with you.
Yes, sir. So it's great to see you here. I just would like to mention 2-3 things, like being a consultant earlier in my career span. What I realized that it could help me while having some IPR. So like earlier in one of my career span, I was work for one of my own startup. So while bringing the consultancy assignment to the colleges, what I find that having some kind of IPR will help to get those particular, we can say.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Professor Joshi. One of my invention has been registered in World Intellectual Property Organization, USA, and Switzerland, WIPO. If you go to Google and write DR space Paritosh space Basu, उसके पहले एक पेटेंट लगा दीजिए. Patent space Paritosh space Basu. You will find my discovery there, and I am the principal inventor. So that invention has helped me a lot. In fact, I have defended 18 prior arts for that invention of mine. But unfortunately, the patent was not pursued because I left SR. But we have 4-year run that discovery as a software. And we were about to get the patent right for it. And I have another right which I have been granted. I have a word which has been registered in my name by Government of India. The word is Innoventionian, which is my website name. Innoventionian, which is my website name. I have a registration for this. You are absolutely right. If you have a patent, you can get consultancy services, but mere patent having doesn't help you.
Yes.
You have to make it visible that you are an expert in this area where you have created a patent. And if the patent can be converted into a commercially monetizable proposal, that will be further good for you.
Yeah. So in the same line, like as we spoke earlier, like one of my IPR, which is notified from Enforcement Directorate Department, and they contacted me to expand it in terms of commercialization. And one of the phase of that particular portion I have already completed, and we are working on the second platform. So
very
that
good,
is related
very good.
to the,
I saw your recent work. So very
yes,
good, Dr. Joshi. You should be pursuing this, and I'm sure you should explore opportunities to monetize your patent.
So another thing, like sir, for example, for bringing consultancy assignment along with involving our students. So can we go through startup kind of thing? Like we have Atal Incubation Center also. Like we have some other we can say indus entrepreneurs and the other subscription as well. So
Yeah. Why don't you do one thing? Why don't you at Shirpur campus organize a hackathon?
Okay.
And in that hackathon, you invite people to solve problems, and with the condition that its successful hackathons will be explored for commercialization with due care and due financial consideration to be paid. So you can organize. You know one thing, entire fintech industry has dependent on hackathons only. Best of the best banks of India, SBI, RBL Bank, DBS Bank, they are regularly conducting hackathons to develop software solutions. And it's a world trend that you involve yourself with startups. And that is what you should do.
Okay. So like from some students from the Mumbai campus or the other campuses along with the Shirpur students, they can collaborate, and I think in this way the consultancy
But
can
you have
be.
to go in a formal way. Before collaboration, you must talk to your dean. You must think of the compensation package, and if they want to work pro bono, then give them due credit, due certificate. Formalize it. Don't take the help of students, and see that their education and studies are in no way affected. Then you should indulge into it. Write papers with students. I have written so far 4 papers with students. Of course, not research papers, but at least national level papers I have written. One was presented with NISM, which is a research paper on 69 industrial companies of the country. Write research paper with students. That will give you a lot of visibility. Collaboration is important because you may not have time to do everything by your own self. So collaboration with students, collaboration with teachers, collaboration with people in industry will always help you.
Definitely, sir. So thank you for enlightening on this, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shubha, and all the best for all your initiatives. So friends, this was about how to bring in consulting assignments. What Dr. Basu has not shared and which will have to be your thing is how to execute it. Because getting an assignment is one thing and executing and delivering it in the way it is expected is a different.
Deepak, your terms of reference to me is to take it in. Execution could be some other day.
Absolutely.
Execution could be some other day, some other session.
I'm just giving a food for thought to everybody that while we are excited about getting the assignment and we feel that that is doable, we also need to figure out, and like Asta was saying, that how do you manage time? So getting assignment is one part of it. Executing and delivering it in the time-bound manner, in the way it is expected, is something that is going to build your credibility further. So,
absolutely.
But these are small things like what Dr. Basu said about the GLG consulting. Incidentally, even I did a couple of consulting assignments for them, and I was paid some $100 an hour kind of a thing, maybe 10, 12 years ago. So those are the things which, if you give your visibility around, and we are all in this field of education. So if we are able to put our LinkedIn profiles right, not that we are teaching these subjects, about what is our expertise, how we present ourselves is going to, so if we just write that we teach these subjects, that doesn't invoke any interest in the reader. If we say that we are expert in this or thought leader in this or contribution in this, then the perspective changes. Then the way they look at you changes. Just by merely writing I teach these subjects doesn't cut across. So these are small things which will make a difference. And as Dr. Basu said, website of yours, even I have my own website, but that's not on the education side, that's on the literary side. So I write, so my website is on the writing side. So all my social media is largely on the writing side. But yes, that's how you get connected. That's how people know what you do, and that's how people feel. And probably now in this digital world, reaching out and collaborating has never been easier. You can be in any part of the globe and you can get connected for even a small thing. The only thing is that you have to have that expertise, continuously build that expertise and position yourself.
Mr. Chawla, believe me, out of my 16,800 LinkedIn connection, could be around 3,000 are from abroad, including Latin America, Africa, North America, Europe, Far East Asia, Gulf, name any countries, even Sri Lanka, Mauritius. So your visibility is very important, and thanks to digital media.
Abhay Karade sir has just given his comment, Dr. Basu. So Abhay sir, if you are there and if you can just, would you like to say something?
It was a great session, and I always hear him because I am always a part of some AI summits and conferences, and in one fine conferences of a digital worldwide conference of AI, I seen him. He was a chief guest there, and then so it's always pleasure to hear him, and this is a good opportunity. Thanks Deepak for this also.
Thank you. Thank you. So, well, that was it for this, and we will have Dr. Basu again sometime for some other area of his expertise, maybe on blockchain or digital transformation, that people who are not in that arena, but we are a part of this ecosystem and we need to know how this ecosystem works as laymen also. So I think maybe sometime as per his convenience and as per how time permits, we will have some more learnings from Dr. Basu in the times to come. So thank you, participants. If there is any other question, we are ready to take it, or else we will thank Dr. Basu once again and thank all of you for joining. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity and for serving me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's so kind of you.
Thank you. Sorry, on a lighter vein.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Can I sign off?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.